Here we are.
Hello.
Good evening, everybody out there in Paranormal Brew land. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening. I have Mike Ricksecker with me. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guest to have on. If any people that have podcasts, please reach out to Mike. He's a great guest to have, full of knowledge, world traveler. I mean, the knowledge that you have is endless. Author, TV personality. I mean, am I leaving anything out?
That's good enough. Make my own wine, that's the important stuff.
How are you doing on the Sunday evening? I know you're busy, so I thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with me.
Yeah, absolutely. We always have a great conversation. So, thanks for having me back, Taryn.
Absolutely. So, for anybody that is watching, newly watching, if you could just give us a little background about Mike and where Mike comes from and what it is that you do.
Yeah, well, I was born July 21st, 1974, Fairview Hospital, Cleveland, Ohio. To Bob and Gail. Yeah, I mean, primarily I'm a writer. That's always been my first passion, has been writing. I've been doing that since 7 years old. But I'm an experiencer as well, and that's kind of where I got my start in all of this. My first real significant paranormal experience was with what we'd call a shadow person. And that was when I was like 8 years old. When we moved into another house when I was 13, we had other shadow activity going on there. And I had my kind of first little quote unquote paranormal investigation when I was about 14, 15 years old. I had no idea that's what you called it at the time, because it's long before the shows. Our friend said that she thought our house was haunted, and she told us some different stories about things that were going on in there. My friend David and I, we're going to check it out. We're going to investigate and find out what's going on at this house. So that was kind of like my first real introduction to it. And, when he put his hand flat to this one particular wall that she thought was like the haunted wall, he turned this bright red and started sweating profusely. It was like, I'd never seen anything like that before. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on with my friend? But that was like the moment that I knew that, okay, I'm not sure what this is other than, something paranormal, supernatural in nature, but was totally captivated by it. And I knew in that moment, this was something that whatever it was, however I could do it, this is something that I would be involved with for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And thankfully, because you give so much to the field, the community, whatever you want to call it. I know what is your favorite research to do?
Oh, that's a great question, because it's, I'm kind of all over the board, right? If anybody, follows my posts, like when I do my Mike's Morning Mug, like I had, what was it yesterday? It was the consciousness and neuroscience and stuff like this. Then I'll go and do the ancient artifacts. Then all of a sudden we'll have space and astronomy. So I am kind of all over the place. But that's because I have a lot of different interests, and I believe all of these different phenomena are connected. So when I can take two different subjects that are seemingly different, and I can actually link them together, and I'm backing it up with, there's my own personal experiences, my own research, but then I'm like bringing in, might be different physicists, might be different historians, other people who visited these places long ago. Maybe it's a legend or a myth from 200 years ago, but yet now we have some sort of science that's backing it up right now. I love making all those connections. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It is. I have to tell you, I've been a world traveler myself, and recently went to Pompeii.
Oh, nice.
Yes, Pompeii was
Mhm.
fantastic. I had no idea the advancement that these people were at in 79 AD. One-way streets and all kinds of stuff, that we're learning. I mean, you know, they had like a fast food market, and this and that. And I mean, where did we go wrong? Why did we start over?
Well, we got kind of lost in the dark ages there for a while.
Yeah,
There are things that happen along the way. Like, I mean, we have different, well, with Pompeii, you know, natural event happens. There's a volcano cataclysm, and the entire city, well, Pompeii and Herculaneum, were totally devastated. It got completely buried. So anything that they had that was their own, that part of their own culture, basically got lost under there. So we see that throughout history, a lot of different cultures that are just lost to time. You have, because it was very barbaric times, you had, just pure absolute genocide. You had maybe it was the barbarian army that came in, or maybe it was just your enemy. They may have been advanced, but they hated you so much that they were just going to wipe every piece of you off the face of the earth, which
right,
means all of your technology and all your beliefs and all that too. So there are a lot of those different things that happened over the years, that things got lost and we had to relearn things.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that a place like Pompeii could be haunted?
Yeah, it certainly could be. You have all of that, all of that energy that was there. You had a massive explosion, so there's a lot of energy right there in that explosion. You would have the imprinting of, people's energies into the structure there. So that would be a ripe place for like stone tape theory, that sort of thing. So yeah, it could certainly be haunted there.
Hmm. Have you heard of any claims coming from places
Um,
like
I
Pompeii?
Yeah, I can't say specifically with Pompeii. I am. It might be one of those places where it might, because it's so historic and such so tragic, they might frown upon that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I haven't gotten
Only
very
I'm
deep
only asking because
either. So there
yeah,
might be more there than I am currently aware.
yeah. I mean, I only ask only what your opinion is on that, only because
Mhm.
we don't ever really hear too much of people picking up on anything older than what the area is as to where we are or where you're investigating. Does that make sense? So like so Gettysburg, yeah, Civil
Mhm.
War. Sometimes it could go back, oh, Native American or whatever,
Right.
but there's never any like really anything that goes that I have ever heard of going beyond going to the ancient times or going to, you know.
People want to know where the dinosaur ghosts are. Well, maybe we do hear them because we hear like phantom growls and things like that. Maybe those are the dinosaur ghosts, and we're just we're hearing them. We don't necessarily, or even some of these strange figures or cryptid sightings and things like this that we see. Maybe that is some sort of remnant of something from the dinosaur age. I think people are really quick to dismiss. They want to see like the massive T-Rex blowing through the door. They want Jurassic Park. It's like I don't think it's going to quite be like that, but I think we do see and hear some remnants of that.
Could that be so now just coming off of a Bigfoot
Mhm.
a hunt, and a Bigfoot convention or epicon or whatever you want to call it. It was a camping adventure. So the claims for Bigfoot is like you hear these screeches and screams and things that people can't explain. They don't see where it's coming from. So
Right.
maybe that could be a phantom noise from not necessarily a dinosaur, but maybe of a prehistoric. animal that we were
Yeah.
never alive to hear. So how do we know what they sounded like?
Right. Yeah, we don't know exactly what they sounded like. We put our own modern, context onto these different things. Like when we're, doing a Jurassic Park movie or something like that. I like the one that popped up in my feed here the other day. Uh, Basically talking about all the similarities that a T-Rex has with a kangaroo. So did it perhaps hop like a kangaroo and not run? It's like,
Hmm,
that's a possibility. We don't know how exactly they ran.
right,
We're just putting our own imagination into that. So maybe it did hop around like a kangaroo, and then learning that some of these actually had feathers. So yes, they had the scaly reptilian skin, but they also had feathers too. So did some of these look like a chicken? They
right.
may have. We don't know precisely.
Can you excuse me for just 1 second?
Yeah,
If I
I
don't
hear
let
the
her
cat.
out, she will sit here and she will meow the
No,
entire.
that's fine. I see the question down there from Gina in the chat. Any more Egypt trips planned? Yes. So November 2025 will be the next Egypt trip. We're looking at starting that around November 8th, 9th, somewhere around there. So within the next few days, I will actually have some more precise information about that.
Cool. You
Mhm.
love, how many times have you been to Egypt?
Been to Egypt 3 times now. Yeah, we're doing the annual tour there now, Stargates of Ancient Egypt tour. So yeah, it's been amazing. And our tour guide there, Mohammed Ibrahim, because he's been doing this for so long and he knows everybody. We get special access into a lot of different locations. So
That's
it's a
cool.
fantastic tour.
I wish I could afford. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you. The Egyptian era kind of scares me a little bit. Um, because I'm superstitious. And
Okay.
you know what I mean? You hear people going into King Tut's tomb or going into these things and they touch something and then like their entire family's plagued with like, this and that. And
Well,
you
the
know what
king,
I'm saying?
yeah, the King Tut's tomb. I mean, that was more of the original guys that went in there, like Howard Carter and his team and the others. Um, they're opening up a tomb that had been sealed off for so long, and so they were different microbes and things like this that they were interacting with and breathing in. We're talking 100 years ago now.
Right.
That yes, they were harmed by that. And the one guy, it was a mosquito bite, um, and that he ended up just getting a nasty infection from that. So
But they were very spiritual. They were very
mhm,
like ritual, spiritual. They
right,
believed
yeah.
in these things. They did things in certain ways to protect the dead and undead and this and you know what I mean?
Well, it was all about what we call, the afterlife journey. But for them, it wasn't really the afterlife. They didn't really believe that it was like a death per se, aside from the fact that you lost the physical body. Your spiritual body, your consciousness still stuck around. And so they wanted to make sure that you had things and were prepared to go to the next life, the next part of life, the next phase, per
Right.
se. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but like, and then when that, well, obviously I'm on this side of it, not on your side of it, but
Mhm.
then messing around and dabbling around with all that stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you don't think it puts like that.
Well, I mean, there's always that idea of intention. And so, when I go into these places, it's always with the purest of intentions. It's always, out of
Absolutely.
curiosity and to learn more about the culture. You have other people that, yes, will go into these places and will try to screw around. It's why, sometimes when we've gone into like maybe the Great Pyramid or something like that, they might limit different things that, well, yeah, um, you can take some photos in here, but we don't want you doing, video here because, yeah, there was, or a group of this is interesting because we're doing the Germany tour here in April. There was a group of Germans that went in there somehow when the archaeologists and the caretaker weren't up there. They recorded some porn in the great in the king's chamber. It was like, oh, wonderful. So that was a time where we're going to limit taking video, but you can take photos. So it's there's some bizarre stuff that happens on occasion.
Wow. Wow. That is, but see, I wouldn't even. I would be too scared to mess around like that. Like I would go in and I'm like, I don't want to touch nothing. I like, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm just going to look. I don't know if I want to look at anything because what if I, you know what I mean?
Well, and there are a lot of times where they do tell you don't touch anything because they don't want the oils on your fingers getting onto, you know, a lot of times people, you're standing right next to this column or you're standing right next to a wall that has all these hieroglyphs on there, and just out of curiosity, we're always, I want to touch that. It's thousands of years old. I want to touch it, and they're like, no, don't touch it. The oil's on your fingers. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So Gina asked too, speaking of hieroglyphics, have you learned more about reading the high?
the hieroglyphs. Yeah. I've taken a couple of courses
She
on
said,
that. I always have to go back and relearn before I go back. So yeah.
is it,
Um, mhm.
go ahead. When
No,
she
I
said
was.
micrographics, is that different than,
I,
is,
I think that was probably
okay.
autocorrect.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that that wasn't something that I didn't know about.
Mhm.
Oh, she spelled it wrong, she said.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so you're doing these Egypt tours, right? And these are what, for 2 weeks?
Yeah, just about anywhere 12 to 14 days, and then of course, there's the travel there. But yeah, it usually ends up being about 2 weeks. And yeah, this one will be we'll be back in time for Thanksgiving for it if people are concerned about that. And then we have the one coming up here in Germany in
Right.
April, which is about 10 days. So that's gonna be fun because that's a tour through the Black Forest. And so we'll be following the trail of the Brothers Grimm and going through a lot of the lore and the spooky history there. And we finished the tour off at Treeberg with all the cuckoo clocks. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Did we talk about this?
I don't know if we did or not.
I feel like I had this conversation with somebody. Is
Maybe one of the people that's going. I don't know.
maybe somebody that's going? I don't know. This was exactly, unless I'm having deja vu. I have no idea. Um, is this your first time to Germany?
First time to Germany, yeah.
That's awesome. I want to go to Germany. It sounds like an awesome trip, and this one's in April.
It's in April, yeah.
So, how many people go on these tours?
We shoot for about 30.
Mhm.
So give or take. The Egypt ones have been a little bit smaller, but that's been fine because the with the smaller groups, it makes it a more intimate affair, and you get a lot more one-on-one time with Mohammed, and you're not having to, because sometimes people kind of scatter and kind of run off and try to do their own thing, and then one of the people that's handling our group have to run off and go get them. When it's a smaller group like that, it's a lot more engaging. So with those groups we've gotten 10, 15. But yeah, with because we did Ireland is through Mysterious Adventures Tour. We did that right coming out of COVID. I think we had something like 18 or 20 or something like that.
That's good.
Yeah, so not too bad. But we try to shoot for 30.
Now, these tours that you do, Mike, are they more based science and history, or
So I mean, there's a lot of history involved in there, yeah. And what we do is we try to get into there's a mixture of we'll talk about the science, and a lot of times the science aspect helps to prove the more metaphysical part of it, or helps to, like with Egypt, as far as like the dating, because you have science, like what we call traditional science or mainstream science, has their narrative that they try to say, and then you're looking at some of these different objects, and just scientifically with the material they were cut, the way that they were cut, things like that. It's like, that's not the right age for that. Or they had tools that you're saying they didn't have in order to make this, because we can actually see the tool marks. So there's some of that comes into play. But then when we get into like the stargates and the ancient symbolism, that's where we start going down more of like the ideas of earth energy. So the more metaphysical route, we learn a lot about the different ancient Egyptian practices, what we call the dynastic Egyptians, and then what we call the pre-Diluvian, the ones that existed before the Great Cataclysm. So yeah, it's kind of a mix.
okay? The people that go on your tours, um, are they more looking for the paranormal and the more the unexplained, or are they like there for the history side of it? I mean, I would totally be either one, both, whatever, because I
Yeah.
love historical places and stuff like that. But do people sign up for the unexplained and mysterious side of it, or are they historians and history people that want to do these tours?
I think it's a good mix of people. Like when we did Ireland, sure, there were a lot of people that were there that were wanting, some of the more um, maybe some of the folk stories, some of the spooky stories, and we're going to haunted castles and things like that. Um, we're going to see some of that in Egypt, or not in Egypt, in Germany, because again, we're going to be going to some pretty famous castles and things like that. So that has, yeah, it has the the paranormal supernatural side of it, but that also leads you right back into the history, because those
Right,
two things kind of go hand in hand.
for sure.
But yeah, there's people have a lot of different reasons for wanting to go. Sometimes people are on a spiritual journey. Like we got a lot of that in Egypt, that people were wanting to go there and make a spiritual connection with ancient Egypt, whether it was uh, they always wanted to go to explore the pyramids and the ancient temples, or maybe they felt that they had a past life there and they wanted to go experience that because they knew that they'd been there thousands of years ago as a different person. So yeah, it's an interesting mix of people that comes along.
And something that you can handle on both sides.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whether it be the paranormal side or the historical side,
Mhm.
which is awesome.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, it's all connected.
all connected. Where was Alita's here? Okay, so Alita said, "Oh, Ireland, cool.
Mhm.
Do you have tours in Scotland or Italy as well?"
So, Mysterious Adventures Tours, yes, they have done tours in Scotland and Italy. Scotland is one that I also want to do, so that's on my list here to do one of these upcoming years. So I can't remember who's doing Scotland this time around, but my buddy Dustin Perry is doing Ireland here next year. I think his Ireland tour is right after my Germany tour, if I recall correctly, in April next year.
So,
So.
the mysterious tours, that's
Mhm.
what your tours go out of.
The Ireland one that I've done and the Germany one.
Okay.
The Egypt one is through Sabatours. That's Mohammed Ibrahim, and so we team up to do those together. So the two different companies that
Oh,
work
okay,
together.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Um, Gina said, "Have you written any new books lately?"
yeah. If you go to my Facebook page and just scroll down a little bit, I actually posted the book cover to my next book that's coming out here the end of October. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. My very first event that I have coming up, first book signing, we're doing the name of the book is Portals to the Stars, inside Stargates, Atlantis, and Secrets of Ancient Egypt. So we had the first book signing event, Portals to the Stars event, at the Merchants and Drovers Tavern Museum in Rahway, New Jersey, November 9th.
Oh, cool. Where?
So you want to be one of the first ones to get your hands on a signed copy, you need to come there. Yeah.
So November 9th. And where
Mhm.
was that? You said Rowan?
Rahway, Rahway.
I don't
Actually, I
think
have no idea where it is, but
I think that's not far from me.
well, come on out.
I should. November 9th. It sounds like a plan. I'd love to see it. It'd be cool to visit Egypt for Anubis and the stars. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So, um,
Anubis is basically he's like he's essentially like the ferryman. He's the guide to bring people into the afterlife.
bring
Oh,
people. So,
and we actually have been at the Great Pyramid of Giza before. In our group, we get like 2 hours special access to that. Um, just us. The whole thing's opened up, but we were there the one time. Well, one time we had it was the constellation of Orion was like directly over the pyramid, and another time it was just kind of funny because we're seeing these things shooting across the sky over the pyramid. Like, what the heck is that? And it turned out it was Starlink.
oh, oh. So are there a lot of, this might be a dumb question, but only because, I'm asking, but are there a lot of UFO claims with surrounding the pyramids and stuff? I mean,
Well, there's a number of people. I don't. subscribe to this idea. There are people that believe that the aliens and extraterrestrials built the pyramids.
Sure.
I don't believe that. Now, has there been in the distant past some sort of interaction between extraterrestrials and humans, that maybe extraterrestrials imparted some knowledge upon the humans, and the humans took that knowledge and built different things like the pyramids or some of these other fantastic structures? Maybe, but yeah, I don't believe aliens built the pyramids. I
Right.
get that all the time too. I'll post something about Stargates of Ancient Egypt tour coming up, and there'll be some numbskull down there that'll post something about me believing in aliens having built the pyramids. Like, no, you're not. No.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm
No.
saying. Um, Wes Coleman. Hi, Wes. Is
Hey,
saying
how's it going, West?
was a great book. Yes, it was. I agree.
Thank you.
And then Lauren. Hi, Lauren. Love your book, A Walk in the
Mhm.
Shadows. And that
Yeah, that one all about shadow
was
people. Yes,
shadow people.
thank you.
Um, Shadow people. I've had one interaction with what might be a shadow person. I don't know what it was that I saw. But it was definitely all black. It reminded me of the if you saw American Horror Story, the first one
Yeah,
ever,
that first season. Yeah.
the guy in the black suit.
Hmm.
That's what it reminded me of.
Okay.
Um, I only saw the back side of it, and it
Hmm.
was only for like three. I don't even know how quickly it was. It was quick. But the thing about that was, um, I couldn't. I didn't realize I couldn't hear until I could hear again.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
so the whole time I'm seeing it, like I see it, and it had this thin yellow glow around it, but it was so black,
Hmm.
and I saw, and it went out of view, and the dog starts coming towards me, and the floors were wooden and stuff, and the dog comes up to me, and as she's running like around in a circle, I could start to hear her nails again. You know what I mean? Like
Wow. Okay.
that was when I
Yeah.
realized I couldn't hear. So like the whole time this thing was like there, like I couldn't hear anything. But
That's really interesting. Yeah. So it like changed the whole frequency of the
yeah,
environment. Yeah.
yes. Never felt threatened, never nothing like that. I can
Mhm.
say this. I am a paranormal investigator, but I'm not psychic medium. I'm not like, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But for the 3 days before I saw this thing, I felt like I was being watched. And I know people can sometimes say they feel that, sometimes, like, oh, you feel like somebody's watching you. And I didn't say anything to anybody. We were on vacation. And nobody
Right.
I'm with on vacation with they don't do any paranormal stuff, like, so I
On
just kept,
vacation. Yeah.
yeah, like I kept it to myself. After I saw it though, that feeling went away.
Wow.
So that was
That's
like,
pretty interesting. Yeah.
yeah, those were the couple of things that occurred that, I will never forget seeing it because it was, I mean, I've never seen anything like that before or after.
Right.
I don't even know if that's considered a shadow person. I don't know.
It's yeah. I would chalk it up there.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
in
gonna
it's
say
in that realm of shadow people. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Yeah. There's just a lot of different kinds.
oh really?
Mhm.
Shadow people I've had encounters probably the worst that I've encountered. Oh yeah. Oh, not the worst, sorry.
Mhm.
Um, so your book coming up, can you tell us anything about it?
Yeah. So Portals to the Stars, Stargates Atlantis, Secrets of Ancient Egypt. So this gets deep into the idea of portals that are out there that we can use for a number of different uh purposes, whether that is to travel through the cosmos like a stargate or something like that, or maybe to another place on earth, to another dimension somewhere, and use them to enter into altered states of consciousness. What did the ancients use these different locations like the stone circles, or the stargates that we see out in ancient Egypt? What did they use those for? I have a really long extended chapter on portals in the wilderness. So when people go missing out in the wilderness, and all of a sudden they go missing, did they get lost through a portal? Some of the people that have come back have made statements like, well, I took a couple steps off the path because I heard something made a noise out there. I'm looking around, didn't find anything. Went to step back on the path, and the path was gone. And I was lost in the woods for the next 3 days. So how in the world did that happen? What ended up happening to them? So yeah, it's a fascinating look at that. You mentioned that you were just involved in a Sasquatch event, so I do get a little bit into the whole idea of is Sasquatch interdimensional? Are they using things like portals out there in the wilderness to move back and forth from wherever they come from into our realm? So yeah, it tackles a lot of these different ideas and concepts.
You believe in portals, Mike?
Yeah. Well, we know they exist. Science has even shown that they exist. Just outside of our planet, there are portals that they've recognized. It's called them X points, and basically they they open and close at different intervals, different sizes, different lengths of time, and these type of portals allow the cosmic wind from the sun to enter into the Earth faster. And they've had satellites up there for almost 10 years, trying to examine these things. And there's no predictive model for it at all. Like, we don't know when they're going to open. When they do, we study it. We don't know when they're going to close. We don't know how big it's going to open to. So it's kind of a really interesting and strange phenomena. But the difference between a portal and a Stargate, so portals are naturally occurring and all that. A Stargate would be a device, essentially, that some sort of intelligent being, whether it's human or otherwise, where they've harnessed that idea of a portal to be able to use at will.
That's a lot of information. Okay. So natural portals obviously exist. So the portals that people say where spirits can come in and out of.
Yeah.
Let's say people say portals can be, the Bigfoots and the cryptids and stuff, like they'll say interdimensional, maybe that's why we're not finding the bones, and maybe that's why we're not,
right,
doing all this stuff, right? Those portals, are you a believer in those types?
Yeah, because again, we have people that just they go disappearing out into the wilderness. Where did they go? Very public race, Michael Lemater, the Mount Marathon race, Seward, Alaska. It gets up to the top of the mountain, checks in, coming back down, and just completely gone. 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, and nobody has any idea what happened to him. Disappeared in the middle of a very public race. Some of these missing airplanes. We have a wonderful account from Bruce Gurn and his experience in the Alaska Triangle with what he called an electronic fog, and it developed into a tunnel, and he ended up zipping ahead in time by like a half an hour or 40 minutes, something to that effect. Wonderful account. But then it causes us to question some of these different other missing airplanes. Did they pass through this sort of funnel, this sort of tunnel, this sort of portal? For him, it was like, a time jump. Well, okay, if these things can, open and a plane disappears into it, ends up in another point in time, at what point in time did it go? And this is where I have, I used this example in my book, Alaska's Mysterious Triangle, talking about a missing Douglas Skymaster from 1950, but it could be applicable for any of these missing aircraft who went back in time through this portal, say like 500 years. Well, what would that look like to the indigenous peoples of the land during that time? Because they would have no context whatsoever of an airplane. They would just think it was some big, large bird, very loud and thunderous in nature. So is this where some of our Thunderbird legends come from? Is maybe they saw a modern airplane just, come into their world.
Yeah. And then I guess they don't know how to get back out.
And they don't know how to get back out. Right. Yeah. They don't know how they got in there to begin with. Right.
Right. The black hole portal.
Black hole is a massive gravity well. It's so powerful that light can't even escape it. And travels through time. I did tackle the concepts of real time travel, and one of those thrown out there by scientists is that, well, black holes bend space and time. So if you were able to slingshot yourself around a black hole without getting sucked into it, and without being stretched apart and killed by the force of the black
Oh,
hole, then you could slingshot yourself around and it would take you to another point in time. But it's a completely unfeasible idea because, our closest black hole is like 1,000 light years away, and we're not getting around one anytime soon. And again, we'll probably kill ourselves trying to slingshot around it anyway. So it's like, come on, science, come up with a better solution.
yeah. Didn't they didn't they recently find didn't they try to put something, maybe I read that wrong. I thought that they had found something, they were able to get into the black hole or get close to the black hole. I don't know, maybe I read,
We can't physically get close to one
not
right
us, like a
now.
device, like something that I probably read that wrong then. If you have no idea about it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
go ahead.
they have done some things here, like in the lab on the quantum level, in trying to create like wormholes and portals and things like this, where at the quantum level they created two very, very tiny black holes and they connected them with a wormhole and sent messages back and forth. But that was in a lab environment, and again, we're talking quantum levels, so very, very small, and they were able to achieve that. So science is trying to do things like that. But yeah, we can't physically get to a black hole out in space right now. I mean, we've just, with the Voyager spacecrafts, just gotten outside the limits of our solar system, and it took them
Right.
50 years to do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be a little while.
It's so crazy to me, like, when it's very intimidating, just like the ocean. The
Mhm.
outer space is intimidating because of how large it is. Like, when
Yes.
you read some of the statistics of how long it takes to get somewhere or how
Mhm.
long it would take to get here, how, I mean, it's just like, I can't wrap my brain around it.
It's huge, it's massive and expansive. So when people try to say, well, we don't, how can you say there's alien life out there when we, according to our traditional science, they say that we haven't met them yet. Although there are plenty in the ufology community that will say they've already been here, we've already met them, all that aside. Um, just the idea that with how massive the universe is, you're going to try to say there's no other intelligent life forms out there with all the, I mean, we're talking billions to the 25th, 26th degree. It's like insane the number of different systems that are out there and the numbers of different planets and the possibilities of life. So there, yes, there is definitely something out there. And many of these are going to have a much bigger jump on us because we're a relatively young planet in the grand scheme of the entire universe. The universe is almost 14 billion years old. We're only 4.5 billion years old, and we're talking billions. Okay, so they've had a much, much longer time to develop technology than us.
Right. Do you ever think that when we communicate with things unknown, unseen, whatever they could be, either slips in that maybe we're communicating with someone from these other, you know, other dimensions or other, time.
Mhm.
I started recently reading about time lapses too,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But um, do you think that maybe, I mean, I know our technology isn't that great to be able to, reach, but do you think it's a possibility that maybe the two worlds are like colliding somewhere?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned time lapse or time slips. That was my whole last book, Travels Through Time,
Hmm.
which got a lot into that. All time is concurrent. So everything that's, you know, uh, that has happened, is happening, and will happen. It's all here right now, and so we get glimpses of that. So we see some of those things happening, whether it's us or another intelligent being that has been here on the planet before in the future, or even ETs that are here. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of different when it comes to a lot of our different phenomena. It could be another point in time. Could be ETs. Could be something interdimensional. It can be all of these different things. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's just there's so many things that, and I agree. It's just one big unknown.
yeah. Well, that's why we have to take it on a case by case basis.
Yeah,
People want a very nice, clean, neat answer. Like when I did a lot of my work on shadow people, people want, they'll ask a simple question. Okay, what is a shadow person? I'm like, well, I wrote a whole entire book on that, and there is no one straight answer. That's why it's like read the book, because
Right.
depending on you know that particular shadow, you have to look at it like a lot of different qualities and the scenario, the context, and the physical makeup. This because all kind of look and act differently. It could be an interdimensional being. It could be a human spirit not fully manifesting as an apparition. It could be an extraterrestrial. It could be a light being, um, astral projection. All these different possibilities that are out there. So, same thing with any other phenomena that we see. Whether it might be a time slip or something else. We have to take it on a case by case basis. We can't just lump all of these things into one.
Okay. Getting back to your new book, and because I wanted to ask you this,
Mhm.
you're saying you call it something as Starlink. Now Starlink, if I'm understanding what you said, a Starlink is something that was created by.
Well, you're thinking Stargate. Yeah, I mentioned Starlink over the pyramids.
Yeah,
That's Elon Musk's. Those are his
right.
little satellites and all
Didn't
that.
you say? Didn't you say your book was like three things that you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm talking Stargates in
Oh,
there.
Stargate. I'm sorry. I thought you said Starlink. I thought you said Starlink. Okay, Stargate. So what is a Stargate?
So Stargate is basically like we were talking about portals earlier. So with the Stargate, it's basically a intelligent being has used that. We'll call it portal technology, for lack of a better term, and they've been able to harness that to be able to move about at will. So, like with a portal, we were talking before that they kind of open at random. They'll open at different intervals. It's really kind of haphazard the way they open and close and all that. So with the Stargate, this is an intelligent being has been able to harness that so that they can open and close it at will.
Mm. Like, and when you say intelligent being, just okay.
It could be human, could be an extraterrestrial, it could be interdimensional. Yeah, I leave that one open. It's an intelligent being. Yeah.
Interesting. So then in Egypt, so if I was to
Mhm.
come on to the Egypt thing, like what is there any investigating for stuff like that? Are you guys like I mean, I know you're probably doing I know you do. I do follow when you go to these. I see all your pictures
Mhm.
you put up and stuff. So I do know it's a lot of historical stuff during the day and
Right.
this and that. I mean, like so at night, is anything do you guys do anything investigative wise for the unknown?
So yeah, they're really particular about people doing those sorts of things at ancient sites. So
Right.
um, like when we've done like the Great Pyramid of Giza, we have been in there late at night before. You have to do that after hours, anyways, because during the daytime they're doing the traditional,
Of course.
buy your ticket, walk up in there, and the general public just gets to walk up the Grand Gallery, go into the King's Chamber, back down and out. That's it.
Mhm.
We get the whole pyramid opened up to us. We can get down to the Queen's Chamber, subterranean chamber, the whole thing, just ourselves, 2 hours. People do bring some equipment in there to test things out. They do not want you to film that. So yeah, they like I said, it kind of gets really particular. Sometimes there have been times that I've been in there. We don't want you to film at all. There are other times you can film, but don't film using the equipment. Okay, yeah. Um, so it just kind of it almost depends on what kind of mood they're in
Yeah,
on that day. Yeah.
yeah. Do you have a bucket list place you wanna go to?
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of places that I still want to get to. Still want to get to Scotland, um, Rome. Some of the
Rome.
different places that I want to get to. It's you're talking areas of the world that are a little bit unstable. Like the Holy Land area and all that. That's a little unstable right now.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff there in South America. Like Machu Picchu and Puma Punku and places like that. So yeah, there's a lot of places. I would still want to get to Mars and Pluto as well. So one of the two.
Do you go to these places and then then would you base, like, is that how you do your books? You know, like after visiting these places, and then is that how you gather your research and this and that, and then your books come out?
Yeah, I mean, my books have, well, like the one that's coming out now, Portals to the Stars. Yeah, there's a lot of Egypt information in there based on my travels there. Um, and but I include a lot of stuff from the American Southwest as well, and Chaco Canyon, Montezuma's Well, um, a lot of those type of areas down there that we've taken a look at. I mean, it's you kind of have to go to some of these places. I mean, you can read all kinds of stuff in books. You can watch all kinds of documentaries, and you can get a lot of wonderful information out of that. But it's something else when you actually go there.
So true.
Yeah.
It is so true because you brought up Rome, right?
Mhm.
And going to Rome was a part of my trip. I never heard of the Pantheon.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and they're like, okay, this was built 27 years before Jesus Christ was born. I'm like,
Mhm.
what? And I'm looking at this building, and it's like probably the strongest built building that you could have. And and I'm looking, I'm like, how did these people
Yeah.
build this structure, and it's still standing as strong as it was 27 years before Jesus Christ was born? Like,
Yeah.
it's
And yet we
incredible to,
still, and yet our current stuff falls apart all the time.
yeah,
I
like
know, it's
this.
insane. Yeah.
It's insane to me. And then seeing like getting into the Vatican and seeing the Vatican.
Mhm.
I mean, it was just emotion. It was that was emotional. I don't know if that was just just being in the moment, or if there was like a feeling in the air. I have no idea,
Right.
but it was spectacular. And yes, I've read books and seen. I mean,
Mhm.
it just gives it no justice. I agree with you. Like you literally have to go to these places to experience experience it. I mean,
Mhm.
now that I've gone to Italy and you did this whole Europe thing, um, I'm like ready. I'm like, all right, where are we going next? I want to go
Right.
experience something else now. And
Yeah.
Germany actually is a place that we want to go.
Well, come on along.
I mean, are you just staying in Germany?
Yeah, we'll just be in Germany. Yeah. So it's just that whole Black Forest area we'll be visiting.
What's Black Forest? I've never heard of Black Forest.
Yeah, that's in area of Germany that you have a lot of wonderful castles down there. And again, that's kind of the area of the Brothers Grimm. You got the cuckoo clocks that are down there. I mean, it's what they named the forest because of the type of trees that are there. They kind of have
Gotcha.
that darker nature to them. So it's there's Schwarzwald, so the Black Forest. So yeah, it's kind of an area there, kind of like I don't know, we got we have different forests and areas of our country here. Yeah, yeah,
Right. Now, it's not like that far. What's that forest? Ugh, I'm so bad with this stuff, but the
like the
so
Smoky Mountains and stuff. I don't know.
yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
It's not like the forest where is it Japan that everybody wants to go to?
Oh, you're thinking of Hoyabachu in Romania.
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
it like that? Is it that kind of a
there's that kind of it's a little bit different. I mean, because yeah, I mean it's a well, they're both populated areas. But yeah, I mean it's got that mystique to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you pick the places that you're gonna go to, or do they call you and say, okay, this is where we're going? This is are you in?
Um. So, the Egypt one is one that I go to when I've done the tours with Mysterious Adventures tours with Maria. We kind of talk about, okay, what's open, what can we do, where would we like to go? So Ireland was one that I had always wanted to do, and she had that open. Okay, we'll do Ireland, and then again the same thing with Germany. She had some different options that were coming open. She was looking at doing tours for, and so yeah, I jumped on Germany.
That's awesome. Um, and
Oh, and
Egypt,
they're talking about the suicide force there in Japan.
yes,
Yeah, it's another one. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I can't recall the name. Yeah. Yeah, there was, but I didn't know if that was like something, because Jersey, you have the Pine Barrens, and
Right. Yeah. There you go.
that
Yeah.
part, the Pine Barrens are large and
Hmm.
known for all kinds of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's a mixture of all fun stuff, not fun stuff. I won't go in I'm not hanging out in the Pine Barrens.
Ah, come on, have a sense of adventure.
Yeah, right.
You might not come back, but
Yeah, yeah. Not without a pistol, if that's for sure. Um, I can't say that.
Yokigahara, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Forest, I believe. So November 9th, you
Hmm.
have a book signing in
Rahway,
Rahway.
New Jersey. I'll send you the link. Yeah. So it's a there's a 4-part presentation. Um, and so it's a lengthy event where we do get into the portals and the stargates. We get into triangle areas of the world. We do get into time travel and consciousness and things like this as well. So yeah, we cover a lot of different topics.
I have to give you like huge credit for my own personal self because I only knew of one triangle before I discovered Mike Ricksecker. Then it was like the Alaskan trial and then or triangle. And then there was, I mean, like there's all these triangles that I had no idea existed all over the world.
Yeah, yeah, they're kind of all over Bridgewater, Massachusetts. There's one there in New Jersey as well at a
Triangle, New
reservoir.
Jersey.
Yeah, bunch of people gone missing in the reservoir. Yeah,
What? I had no idea.
yeah.
Well, where is this triangle? Because there's some people I'll go, hey, I know of a really cool camping place.
Yeah, I forget the name of the exact reservoir off the top of my head, but yeah.
Um, your neighbors with the Jersey Devil. I personally do not believe in the Jersey Devil. I think the Jersey Devil was a legend myth created from a real child born with defects. And I think the story just grew from there.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate too. So like here in the Cleveland area, you have the to the east side, you have the Kirtland Melonheads, and they try to make them out to be like these creepy, scary creatures or almost ETs or whatever. And it's like these were kids that were basically sent to a home that they were dealing with hydrocephalus, which is water in the brain, which basically enlarged their heads. And so they were basically ridiculed and teased and all that. And it's really sad how that story and legend came to be. So yeah, I understand what you mean there.
Yeah, yeah. Kim says Round Valley Reservoir.
There we go.
Wow, that's pretty cool. According to the Cherokee, we have both giants and little people in the
Mhm.
North Carolina mountains.
Yeah, and that's something that I've enjoyed looking at is looking at the old legends and lore, a lot of the Native American stories, because you do have a lot of the stories of giants and whether it's and it depends on the tribe. They'll call them different things. The small ones you might have like Pukwudgies. In Alaska, they had the Irchinhot, but they were also a type of little people. And it was, but similar stories to like the fairy stories that you'd see out in the UK, like Ireland, Wales, some of those others, where you had the little people that were pulling people into their own realm, and they were having these time loss incidents and things like this. So we have those stories over here, and then of course we see similar types of characteristics to like UFO abductions and things like this, where they're kind of pulled into some other, it's the mothership instead of the fairy realm, and they're still having the time loss and with it and all that. So it's interesting to see the connections and similarities between these different cultures throughout all time.
And time loss seems to be the biggest, the most consistent.
Yeah, and really what I think is going on there is, they're pulled into whatever this, whether it's the fairy realm or whatever you want to call it, they're basically being pulled into another dimension. And if they're pulled into another dimension outside of ours, well, this goes back into all of my time travel research, which travels through time, where the our fourth dimension, our experience here is that's what we call time. Well, the fifth, sixth, seventh, and on dimensions, which our physics do show exist, they would be outside of time and would view time as like an object and all that. So if you pull, a human being who's used to time into one of these other dimensions that's outside of it, what we recognize as time is going to work really, really differently there.
Interesting. I wonder like what that would feel like. Not
Yeah,
having,
yeah. Those people that have experienced, for them, to them, it's like time hasn't passed.
right,
And they come back, and all of a sudden, it's 5 days later, or 20 minutes later, or whatever it is. Yeah.
right. That's crazy. Have you ever come across anybody like that?
I've met several people who have had, those incidents of time loss like that. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, we are coming to a close already. But really quick, just if you could just tell everybody where to find you, what
Yeah.
you got coming up, um, your Germany, like do they go to is Germany's with Mysterious Tours?
That's with the Mysterious Adventures Tour. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we've kind of been talking about what I have coming up. So MikeRicksecker.com is where you can find all my books, all the information on my events and tours and all that wonderful stuff, upcoming television shows. Yeah, so right now I'm just finishing off the next book. I have the book signing and the Portals to Stars presentation coming up here in New Jersey on November 9th. And then let's see, early next year, I have Conscious Life Expo in LA. Um, I've got the Missouri Paracon in Kansas City. There's Lone Star Paracon in Texas, and yeah, we have the Germany tour coming up in April.
Lone Star, that's with the Kling brothers, right?
Yep, yep,
Love them guys. They're awesome.
yeah,
Um, that's awesome. Thank you, Mike. Thank you
yeah.
so
Thank
much.
you.
And thank you for coming on. And thank you for spending Sunday with me.
Yeah, always
Um,
a pleasure.
always, always, I love having you on. And I am going to try to make it November 9th.
Okay,
See
yeah, I'll
you.
send you the information. Yep,
Yeah, I would love to come up and get an autographed copy of your newest book.
cool.
Um, you're a great writer. You also have been on one of my favorite shows, The Unexplained.
Thanks. I have another episode of that coming up here, whenever the next season airs. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that show. That show is great. To me, that's what I was gonna say. Like your tours when you go to like Egypt, that's what it reminds me of.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the like the show The Unexplained. It's not just they I feel like that show just has everything mixed in. The
It does. Yeah, it
history,
has a little
the
bit of everything.
science.
It's great.
Yeah, it's an awesome show, and I love watching it. So I love that you've been on there because I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you go. I want to thank you so much for coming on, and I will see. Oh, look, my peaches are saying assemble.
Yeah, I see that. All right, Dave.
Peaches assemble for Huawei.
Yes, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you again, Mike. I will let you go, but thank you again for
All right.
coming on. I appreciate it.
Yep.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you again so much. Yep, have a wonderful evening.
You too. That was great. Thank you guys. I know it was a Sunday. I know it's, I just got back and, it's, you know, but anyways, it was a great show. I always love having Mike on. And I want to thank all you guys for watching. And make sure you guys check in this Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. We'll resume Paranormal Brew's regularly scheduled show. I love y'all. Thank you so much.